For over 20,000 miles, we've done our best to take you to some of the most untouched, remote and unexplored parts of the world. And we've learned that our happy place is quite far from the beaten track. But we admit that's not really the norm. Most sailors seek out busy bays, popular holiday destinations, and anchorages surrounded by manicured beaches. But what happens when you take two ragtag pirates and drop them in a holidaymaker's paradise? Well, this week, we're going to do exactly that. Welcome to Vava'u, Tonga.
I'm really excited about today. So we have been zigzagging our way through Vava'u, this group of islands in Tonga, and we've kind of gone to a bunch of different anchorages, but today's anchorage is looking pretty special. It's a tiny, tiny island in the south side of the grouping, and we're hoping it'll give us shelter from this wind and swell that's picking up from the north. But I think when we get there, there's going to be quite a lot to see.
Yeah, it is really easy to navigate between all of the little islands here. They are not that far apart. However, where we are right now on the outer reef, there are quite a lot of sandbars and pretty shallow coral. So we're just wiggling our way out of this into the deep bit, and then we will try and sail our way over to where we're going. And there's one tricky bit in the middle, but it'll be fine.
All right, so it's maybe not the fastest sail we're ever gonna do. We're making 4.5 knots out of 8 knots apparent.
Oh, that's not so bad.
So there's maybe 11 knots, 12 knots of wind.
Anything to get the engines off.
Yeah, well that's it. The engines are off, and now we just have to sort of skim our way between these little coral reefs and sandbars, and then the really shallow bit comes.
Yeah, so these shallow reefs that you can see behind us, this is not the tricky bit. We're going through a very narrow gap here under sail to try and hang a right around the corner, and then it gets pretty shallow pretty quickly and with lots of wiggly turns. And I think we'll be putting the sail away for that and motoring it.
Wimp.
So we've been here a little while now, and we have met so many sailors who have arrived here into Vava'u, fallen in love with the place and said, actually, I'm going to completely change my plans and I'm going to stay here for an entire season and not go anywhere else because there's just too many places to see and explore. And somebody said it reminded them of sailing in the British Virgin Islands. I think they said kind of back in the 90s before it came this huge charter base. But we were there just earlier this year, and I can totally see what they mean. We haven't been anywhere for so long where there are this many islands that you can visit just on a day sail. These are such short hops to sail for like an hour or two between them, and you're inside this sort of protective reef. So the sea is always pretty calm, but you just have this nice gentle breeze, and no matter what direction the wind is coming from, you can always just move somewhere else to find shelter. So I totally get what they mean, and we're seeing quite a lot of boats kind of sailing around every day, just hopping even if we're not moving. So yeah, it takes me back to our Odyssey festival experience a couple of months ago, which was wild and fun, and we had slightly more boat speed than we do today.
It's actually quite fun because at Odyssey, we took Zora, the navigation system, with us and installed it on the charter boat just for the week, which was hilarious. But recognizing the features that we've managed to get added onto Zora just in the time between then and now is absurd. It really is. Like here, we have our course over ground and our track. So I can see already that we're going to miss our next waypoint by a couple of degrees. So I have to adjust our autopilot to get us back on course. But I can do that right here. I just have to go add a couple of degrees. And just like that, the autopilot updates and bang, we are now on course. How cool is that?
So we're just coming up to the tricky bit now, which is actually not too bad, but we have put our sail away just so that we can motor through. Basically, there's a huge, shallow sandbar inside the fringing reef, and there is one little channel that is ever so slightly deeper than the rest of it. So we have to wiggle our way, a couple of S shapes. We have to look out for bommies that are coming up from the surface. We should still see like 3 or 4 meters below us, so it should be fine. It's just quite narrow and you have to pay attention, not get distracted. So here we go.
Chicane!
Well, I'm glad to see the conditions are evening out, because when we came through here the other day and I was on helm, we had like 21, 22 knots and it was quite hairy going through this little bit. And today was so calm and sunny, I thought Ian had it easy, but actually there's a squall kind of about to pass overhead and the winds have suddenly picked up to 21, 22 knots. So maybe it's like a Bermuda Triangle kind of situation and you always get bad weather right here. Are you being blown off course?
We are being blown directly onto a coral head, yes.
Brilliant.
So we'll keep pushing ourselves just ever so slightly away, but it is a little bit nerve-wracking, I'll give you that. All right, we survived the shallows and now we are in a head-to-head race. Of course we are. There is more than one boat present and we seem to be going to the same place, so we're gonna have to beat them. Now the good news is they are a charter boat, which isn't the meaning of charter boats, but it means that it's probably just one skipper and a bunch of guests, which means maybe they're running short-handed. Unfortunately, they have a better angle to wind than us. We are both sailing just Genoas. So put your bets in now.
So we were going to aim to drop anchor just on this island on our right-hand side here, but because of the angle of the wind, I think that we would still be a little bit unprotected and the swell would roll in and make us a little bit uncomfortable. So instead, we're going to go behind this tiny island, which is not technically an anchorage, but it looks shallow enough that it should be quite nice. So we'll give it a go.
Okay, classic change of plan. So we intended on going to the island over there, started to sort of position ourselves, realized that it was super rolly and thought, well, that's just stupid. So we came across the bay, very short hop to this side, which is a beautiful sandy beach, but incredibly shallow. So we can't actually get any closer to it, which means we're still out in the little bit of roll. There's not a lot, to be honest, but there's enough that the back steps are going underwater between the waves, which is not so much fun. However, they say, they being briny, that the weather is going to change tonight, and tomorrow is going to be pristine, flat, perfect, calm, tropical sunshine. They say. They do say that.
It is, have faith, ready? It's just going to be so beautifully calm. And the good weather arrived. Unfortunately, it also kind of left again. This morning was absolutely stunning and super calm and lovely and flat, and it has picked up a little bit. However, it is still much nicer than yesterday, ever so calm. So we are going to drop the paddle boards and head into the beach and see if we can go for a little wander around and explore and see what's here.
Yeah, so we can't really complain about the weather, let's be honest. I mean, it's a bit wavy. That's what we're saying. Bit wavy
It's
for
probably
paddleboards.
like not even 10 knots. It's just, oh, it's not mirror flat.
I know, this morning was properly flat, but taking the paddleboards out when it's, I mean, this is not big chop, but it's just frequent enough that it's a bit wobbly. So we tried our best to film on the way in. Who knows what you're gonna get. So we think we may have seen a village on the other side of this island. So what we haven't seen is a way to get there, but that's never stopped us before. So we're gonna give that a go. Let's see how this works out. Briny hike number, I don't know, 823?
That's the best one. So clearly this is not the way that we need to go to get to the village. However, we brought our boards to like the middle of the beach, and every time we visit a beach, we have to walk to one end and then walk to the other to say that we've seen the whole beach. So here we go, starting at one side, touch the rock. Now we can start our hike and look for this trail.
It is technically a path.
I think this counts. It's more path-like than any other trees we've seen.
I know. I'm worried if you've seen it first or if I did. Let's say I did. It looks like a path. Let's go this way. Bri, what happened to the path?
I broke it. Path's gone.
Oh well. Told you it was going to be a brownie hike, didn't I?
So we walked all the way through the forest and have come out the other side, and basically we have now reached the other side of the island. It's really skinny in the middle. So there is a little village over here, which, to be fair, does look quite abandoned. However, I can see the sea. I think there's a beach, so we'll go and explore this one.
So it's probably testimony to what we were saying about this kind of being like the BVI, but actually it's better. And I hate to say that if you like the BVI, but when we were there, which I think was high season, it was like rammed and you had to take mooring balls everywhere you went. You had to book ahead on an app and stuff. Whereas here, I mean, this island is one of, I can't remember how many islands Tonga has, but like one of a large collection. There are 2 boats in the bay that we've just come from. There's 1 boat in this bay and I can't see another mast on any one of these little islands dotted around here. And we could go and anchor at any one of these islands dotted around here, and they're all kind of contained by that barrier reef, so it's easy sailing and it's easy enough to anchor.
It's easy enough to have your own private beach or two.
2 or 3 or 5 or 10. Frankly, I'm surprised that people haven't just mobbed to this place already. There was a moorings base here back in the day, but it shut down, I think after a cyclone. And so there is no charter businesses like based out of here anymore. So yeah, find yourselves a way to get here.
Yeah, the boat that's here has perhaps chosen the better anchorage today because the wind swung around earlier than we were expecting, which means we are kind of exposed again, and the water here is so flat calm. So if it's not too rude to invade their space, maybe we'll move around here later on.
So I don't actually know the name for this kind of tree, but we've seen a few of them around, and it's where they're like really wide, flat-topped trees, and then they have all these dangling roots. And every time I see them, I can't help but think of that scene in Avatar with the memory tree? I forget the name of what they called that one, but where you kind of like head up to one of the vines and you connect with it and have weird fantasy moments, and then you connect to the earth. I'm not sure if it's poisonous.
You think of Avatar, I just think of Harry Potter, and it's the Whomping Willow.
It's not working.
You have to poke the little knot in the trunk and then it stops. It's so quiet here in the village that I haven't actually seen any people yet, so I think people do live here, but I'm not quite sure where they've all gone today. But everywhere else that we've been on land here, there have been like so many dogs and puppies and sometimes cows and horses and just pigs everywhere, like piglets just scattered across the road, running out of your way as you walk down. And I was quite looking forward to seeing some here, but we haven't actually seen anything. There's like fields where people are growing fruit and vegetables and stuff, but yeah, I don't know, maybe nobody lives here anymore.
So it's kind of wild to think that, you know, this isn't like a new settlement. People have been here for a long time, and yet there are no roads. As far as we can tell, there are no house numbers. There's something kind of interesting about Tonga that we found out a little while back, which is a couple of years ago, they officially changed the postal system from postcodes, like you might have, or zip codes, to an app called What 3 Words, which you might have come across. It's free to download. We've used it a few times in the past. And it's basically 3 random words to describe any, is it 1 meter by 1 meter?
Yeah, 1 meter squared.
On the planet. And the postal system here actually uses that for addresses because it makes more sense.
I mean, we should use that because it covers the oceans as well. So then we can say exactly where we anchored.
Well, so I thought about doing that for the intro. You know how we just put the little funny quote from the episode somewhere at the start? And then I was like, oh, we could put What 3 Words for where we're anchored. But then we moved. So by the time I actually write it, it's changed. But yeah, so that's kind of how it's worked here for the last few while. But you realise, as I say, this isn't a new place. People have been living here in Tonga and in Vava'u for a really long time. And there's one other place we want to show you, which has some really interesting history to it.
It is absolutely stunning here. There are like cliff edges all around us, forests on all of the hills, and palm trees just scattered throughout everything. It is so different from any kind of landscape we have seen for a really, really long time. But just around the corner here, there are apparently some caves that we can go swim and snorkel in. So we're going to jump in the dinghy and head around that way.
Funny, I feel like we're seeing more and more of this kind of landscape where it's like limestone that's been worn away at the coastline. So everything is an overhang. And then obviously high tide, everything looks perfect. Then low tide, it suddenly emerges again. And I feel like we didn't see any of that in French Polynesia, really. And now we're starting to see a lot more like that, which maybe it's the volcano stuff, because this is really volcanic, this area. Even while we've been here, there's been 2 or 3 earthquakes.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Something like that. So clearly there's a lot more going on in this part of the world, geologically speaking.
Wow, look at that above. So outside it's blowing like 20, 25 knots, and the sea just around the corner from this headland was getting really rough, and we were hoping that we were going to find the cave soon, but in here it is pretty still. You've still got the swell a little bit, but it's so much more gentle. There's no like breaking waves. It's like a little oasis in here. The echo in here is insane.
Right. You look at the water.
Whoa! The light in here is so crazy, like with the sunlight coming in through the doorway. Do you call it doorway to a cave? The entrance.
The portal to the cave.
The colour of blue is just ridiculous.
There's a baby pool. I mean, this is definitely where you have to chill out before you go back to the exit journey. This is like a jacuzzi zone.
So we've ditched our fins and we're going to try and see if we can like clamber through the rocks and see how far we get. There is some sunlight this way, so maybe we can, I don't know, get out the top.
She nearly went. This is insane.
So we kind of knew that this cave existed like this at the back of the watery section, because I think legend has it that, was it kings and monarchy and stuff?
I think so, yeah.
Like leaders of some sort would actually come here and they'd have food lowered down to them through that hole up there. So this is just like a banqueting zone.
We should have brought a picnic.
Or a banquet. This cave is insane. So we are far enough away now that the light of the entrance is no longer making it in. The little kind of moon hole is giving us like a weird twilight. It goes way back here, and I can't work out if there's daylight at the end or if it's a dead end, so we're just gonna have to keep going. Equipped with nothing but swimwear and flip-flops.
Oh, this is bloody.
It's alright for you, I can't see a thing.
It's a really creepy grip of water just here, so the mud suddenly turns from dust into glue. And so many bugs. It is genuinely quite creepy now.
Cockroaches on the walls.
Oh! Why are we doing this?
Well, there's adventure in it. I think we may have made it to a dead end, although there is a little bit more in the corner here.
No, I want to go home now. We made it to the end.
Look at this. Yeah, I'm a cockroach.
No, but I thought it was a rock and it was squishy.
I think we made it to the official end of the cave.
We've come round to the main town of Neafu, and for once we have lucked out in being in exactly the right place at the right time, because it seems that everybody crossing the Pacific this year is kind of congregating this week in Tonga. No matter what route they have taken, everybody is arriving here. And so we actually know an awful lot of boats in this anchorage. And so tonight we are going to head out to a bar in town and just catch up with everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because the people we're meeting in this bay, it's kind of like it's a storyline of the places we've been. So some people we haven't seen since Panama, other people we've seen kind of in French Polynesia, obviously when we were there. Niue, we actually have a few people from Niue who are here, not Niuean, but people we met in Niue, and Samoa, and even, I still can't say it, New Potato.
Well, let's just go with New Potato.
And even New Potato. So it's kind of a nice little gathering. In fact, I even think possibly we're going to have two brand new friends who've only met online who happen to be coming into this bay this evening, and I fired them a message and said, do you want to come hang out? So it really is a kind of spectrum of the last 2 years, and what must it be, almost 10,000 miles?
Yeah.
8,000 miles worth of travel, all coming together in one place. It's kind of nuts.
So I know we were saying earlier that this place kind of reminds us of the BVI, but with all of these boats here on mooring bowls and then all the bars along the shoreline, it really does kind of feel like that. So, I don't know, if you've been to the BVI and you're kind of done with it and you've had enough and you want the same experience but somewhere else in the world.
And better.
And better, apparently. Maybe try Tonga. You all right? Yeah. We have just walked back to the entrance, and I've taken the high road over the cliffs, and Ian has decided that he's just going to like slide straight into the little pool, which is entirely necessary for the number of times that he just fell over in the mud. He's caked.
I think this is just evidence that I was working hard with you.
You're in absolute state.
Well, there's a hot tub to water. It's like a food bath on the way to public too. You dip in the hot tub before you get into the dinghy.
Yeah, you're not getting in the dinghy looking like that.
Oh, it's cool. Okay, there is only one rule in the hot tub, which is no peeing in the hot tub. Bryony shall now perform her cannonball. So be nice. There she is in, and look at the mud trail behind you.